Welcome back, everybody. The Trump administration has been expanding their immigration enforcement crackdown, this time going to Charlotte, North Carolina, a place that DHS Assistant Secretary Tricia McLaughlin has called an epicenter for human trafficking. And now Democrats are fighting back against this crackdown in that city. Democrat Governor of North Carolina, Josh Stein, says that the Trump administration's DHS is stoking fear in the city and is calling for a path to legal status for illegal aliens. So joining us now to discuss what on earth is going on, he is a congressman from the great state of North Carolina, as well as a member of the four-country caucus made up of Iraq and Afghanistan veterans in the House, Congressman Pat Harrigan. Congressman, thanks so much for being with us tonight.
John and Amanda, always great to be with you. Thanks for having me.
Likewise. You know, I used to hear about Atlanta being the epicenter of human trafficking in this country, I guess because of the size of Hartsfield-Jackson Airport. But it seems like that epicenter just moved right up the 85 to Charlotte. But maybe it's not just Charlotte. Maybe because now they're going to Louisiana. Is there a single city in this country that is spared from the epidemic of human trafficking and illegal immigration?
Amanda, there's not. Look, I do a lot of nonprofit work with human trafficking, and it's such a pervasive problem all across the country. I think folks actually can't possibly wrap their minds around how big it is. It is impacting every single major metropolitan area that we have in this country. And like it or not, it is both tied and not tied to illegal immigration. Kind of depends on the vein in which it's coming from. But the two sometimes intersect, and I think that's exactly why you've got ICE and you have Border Patrol working in Charlotte right now before moving on to other cities across the country. It's just incredibly important that we get these illegal alien criminals off the streets.
Sir, you put out some, I think, really important statistics about Charlotte. It has a unique demographic. About 1 in every 6 residents of the city is a foreign national right now. It's been a haven for a lot of people, including illegal aliens. How has that put pressure on the safety net, on the cops, on the social welfare system in that city?
Well, it's certainly burdened it beyond belief. And actually, just a couple of weeks ago, the Fraternal Order of Police of Charlotte reached out and wrote a joint letter to Josh Stein, our governor, and the president, requesting that the National Guard actually be sent into Charlotte to allow and assist local law enforcement to kind of get back over the hump of crime and violent crime that has been happening in Charlotte. And this has been a problem for a long, long time. The CMPD, Charlotte Police, they've been hundreds of officers short, chronically short for years, as long as I can remember, honestly, can never seem to get up and above the manning levels that they need in order to adequately address the crime in the city. And they have a Democratic-led administration in the city and in the governor's office that is soft on crime. They've pursued really terrible policies that are built on poor principle that have allowed criminals to simply not face any punishment, get released back onto the streets. The incidence of recidivism that we have in North Carolina is fully unacceptable. And so we've got calls for the National Guard, and we've also got ICE and Border Patrol operating, working in two totally different veins to try to make Charlotte a safer place.
Congressman, these 130 illegal immigrants arrested in Charlotte, are these everybody's abuelita who really just came into the country illegally and has been domiciled here peacefully? Who are these people?
No, this is a very targeted hit list of criminal illegal aliens that have rap sheets as long as the 2,500 miles that they came in from overseas. I mean, it is just astounding what's going on. We've got child rapists. We've got folks that have multiple DUIs and fleeing the scene of accidents. We've got folks that have been arrested over and over for larceny. And keep in mind, these federal detainers that are coming down are not being honored by local law enforcement. That's the problem. We have over 1,400 of these in the last year where local law enforcement has just flipped the bird to the federal government because they want to effectively operate as sanctuary cities. And what I think people do not realize is that sanctuary cities are not protecting immigrants. They are protecting criminals. That is a key distinction that we've got to understand, because when you partner these sanctuary cities with these ultra-liberal policies that allow judges and magistrates to simply release people back out into the community, when they do not force consequences for criminal conduct, you end up having mayhem and chaos in your city. And we've got to get back over the hurdle and make Charlotte safe again. And that's what ICE and Border Patrol are helping to do right now.
Yeah. And the trafficking agencies, they watch and they look for the weak links, and that's where they settle in when they see a city that's just going to turn them right back out onto the street. So I want to turn to something that is probably a hidden headline to a lot of people in the nation, but it's a big deal. We're in a race for rare earth metals and for rare earth magnets and the things that power the future of this economy. And there's a big, I think $1 billion, nearly $1 billion new center being built in North Carolina to help America win this war with China. Tell us about it.
Oh my gosh, there's so much activity going on in this space, and we're doing the very best that we can to lead in this space on the National Defense Authorization Act, certainly from a defense perspective. And so you've got MP Materials, you've got Vulcan Elements, which is actually out in just south of Raleigh. You've got ICD Materials, which is actually in our district, 10th District, doing awesome things like tantalum and hafnium. But the reality is we've got to completely decouple our supply chain from China. We cannot be dependent for these rare earths on the greatest adversary that our nation has potentially ever faced in its history. We have got to start mining, and we've got to start processing these materials here at home. And at the very least, we've got to mine in friendly countries and then process back here in the United States. There's so much work happening between the Office of Strategic Capital, the Department of War, and private industry to help solve this problem. But it is a huge problem. All these materials are all throughout our aircraft, fighter jets, tanks, all sorts of defense materials, you name it. It's incredibly important for the future of our nation's defense as well as the future of our market economy. And we've got our foot on the gas when it comes to making sure that America can produce these materials.
Yeah. Speaking of materials, anytime I see a list of states that, rank high in the happiness factor or, great communities, North Carolina is always up there. But you put some information out. So many people have concerns about the price of homes. And if you knock off 20 to 40% of that price, that would bring that down to a reasonable level. And 20 to 40% is what you say is attributed to regulation. How do we move that out of the way so that people can finally start buying homes again? Not condos, not apartments and skyscrapers, actual homes.
Yeah, look, I mean, you can't have high prices and high interest rates, and that's where we are right now. And so, number one, we can bring interest rates down. President Trump is working hard to do that, even with the recalcitrant Fed. But secondarily, we've got to reduce the red tape at the local level, right? We dealt with this with Hurricane Helene in Western North Carolina, where everybody is just stalled out, pointing at each other, saying, we can't even build these temporary shelters because of this red tape that exists at the federal level, or these local ordinances that are preventing these different codes, from being met, and therefore, the action is zero. You look at that. We've got to lower the barriers to building new homes. It's incredibly important. And I would also argue too. Look, if you look at Charlotte, you've got 22% of the homes in Charlotte are now owned by institutional level investors. That used to be single, family home ownership used to be the greatest wealth driver for the middle class in this country, but it's become unaffordable. We have got to change the way that we look at single family housing, period. Who can own it? And how easily we can build it. We do those two things. I think we change the paradigm with respect to Americans, ordinary Americans owning homes again.
Yeah, and that's a big part of the American dream. So I love those ideas. Tar Heel State Congressman Pat Harrigan, thanks so much for being with us tonight, sir. We'll get you back on again very soon.
Always great to be with you, John and Amanda. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Likewise. All right, everybody. Next, John. We'll sit down with Congressman Abe Hamadeh to discuss a shocking story about the Democratic Attorney General group allegedly influencing criminal prosecutions through financial payments. You don't want to miss that. It's on the other side of this break.
Hey folks, did you know high blood pressure is the #1 risk factor for mortality? A stunning 1 in 2 adults have high blood pressure, meaning there's a 50-50 chance you could be affected. Taking control of your blood pressure is crucial for your health and longevity, and there's a new way you can just do that by using 120 Life. And 120 Life is not just for high blood pressure. It's also beneficial for those with diabetes because managing high blood pressure can help with diabetes, making 120 Life a valuable tool for overall health. Endorsed by over 1,000 doctors, 120 Life is trusted by healthcare professionals, with hundreds of doctors recommending it to help manage blood pressure naturally. For a limited time, try 120 Life and get 20% off. Just use the promo code JTN at checkout at 120life.com. That's 120 Life because it offers a risk-free trial with a full refund if you don't see lower numbers in just 2 weeks. Go to 120life.com and use that code JTN to save 20%. There's nothing to lose except your high blood pressure numbers.